And if there's a group in California and beyond that have done really leading edge work on raising awareness about these chemicals, these colorless, mostly odorless liquids and solid chemicals that get put onto our plants, both on the garden level in your backyard and your front lawn, as well as on the biggest farms around the country. We're talking about pesticides, and the group Pesticide Watch is based in Sacramento. Our next guest is Mike Summers. He's the state director of Pesticide Watch. Are we on the right? Oh, is it Celeste? Hi, Celeste. Is it Mike? Okay, it is Mike. Come on in, Mike. All right. Yeah, you can grab a pen, no problem. So Mike Summers is the state director with Pesticide Watch, an organization that trains community groups on how to plan and run winning campaigns. Good stuff here, folks. He has worked as an organizer since 2004 and leads campaigns on a variety of issues. Mike has a degree in cellular biology from the University of Illinois. So if I said go Buckeyes, he might not finish the interview, but we can say go Illini, huh?
I'll finish the interview, but
okay.
Yeah.
No handshake at the end.
Yeah, no.
Out here on the West Coast, you just don't get the Big Ten, folks. It's just a different thing. As I've told people before, I'm from Northeast Ohio, so it's just bred into me that I'm a Buckeyes fan in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
And I'm part of the Firefly clan of the insect tribe. So just wanted to say hello to everybody out there in CFO. And boy, we had the whole group coming in. This is terrific. Hey, Laura, just let me know how we're doing on time. I think we're pretty good right now. So, even though you went to the University of Illinois, let's get this mic set. Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to welcome the State Director of Pesticide Watch, Mr. Mike Summers, to the Bee-a-Thon. Hi, Mike.
Hi, thanks for having me. Really appreciate it.
So this is, I want you to scoot just a little closer so your sound is
of course.
good. So we met twice now, and I had a connection with Dana Pearls, first in Pesticide Watch. Now, a group like yours seems to have a monumental task. Because it's one thing to talk to people about road congestion or the problems with bridges or unemployment, maybe even things like, garbage removal in a municipality. But how does somebody make a livelihood teaching people about pesticides?
Well, for us, I think it's about, it's first and foremost about organizing and democracy. I think that's really where we start our perspective from. The idea that more people need to be involved in the conversations about what happens in our society, whether it's, from our perspective, obviously, the use of pesticides and toxic chemicals, whether it's, waste management, whether it's water management is another big thing in California.
Right up there at the top.
Environmental protection is something that really requires an active citizenry, is our theory.
Sure.
And so we start from the perspective that the more that we can help teach people how organizing works, the more likely there are going to be active citizens around the state of California and around the country. And I think that's really where we start from. So, yeah, the conversation about pesticides is more challenging than just about anything else I've done.
It should be, except for soil depletion. I like to say if there's, besides climate change and biodiversity, species depletion, which are topics way beyond the average person's ability to comprehend for the most part, or do anything about, there's 4 topics that I say are preeminent as far as how we produce our food, and they are, top of the list is fresh water supply, soil depletion, soil quality, seed control, and then chemicals and pesticides. So you're dealing with 25 or 50% of the most important topics in food control and agriculture. And of course, most people have no idea what a pesticide is. They might know what RAID is, and that's certainly a pesticide.
Absolutely.
But so in addition to this, folks, on the Bee-a-Thon, practical, compelling, sublime, this is very practical stuff. We can teach you how to build a honeybee hive, and we can teach you how to build a honeybee a garden. Let's talk about how to build a honeybee advocacy. So how does pesticide work as far as promoting for the bees?
Well, so Pesticide Watch would start with the idea that there has to be somebody interested in making change happen. And there's a lot of different angles that you can sort of tackle pesticide problems with. So it depends on what your interests are, right? So if you are somebody who lives in the urban area, obviously, you don't think about agricultural uses of pesticides a lot, or at least most people don't.
You think about
smog. Right, smog and other sorts of things. But pesticides that impact bees are used in our cities every day. one of the most recent sort of examples of pesticides used in an urban setting was in Oregon.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
The bumblebee die, folks.
The bumblebee
we talked
die-off.
about it earlier on the show, for
Yeah,
sure.
exactly. So that's a perfect example of an urban use of pesticides that has a huge impact on bees.
Sure.
And so changing how your city or your municipality, your homeowners association, your county, all different types of agencies use pesticides for lots of different reasons. But changing how they use them could entail a whole campaign.
Sure. Sure.
Right.
And so do you go to the municipalities first, or do you go to the man on the street?
Well, we are typically contacted by the man on the street
I see.
that's interested in changing
The citizen
policy.
scientists. Sure,
Yeah,
sure. The
exactly.
concerned
Somebody
citizens.
that's a concerned citizen, but they don't know where to start. And so what we do is we start by teaching them how to plan a successful campaign. There's no, obviously, one formula, but there are some basic sets of things that you do. You figure out who can make the change that you're looking for. You figure out how to get your idea to be in their best interests as well, and then
Sure.
you work to often engage your fellow neighbors and your fellow citizens in communicating their interests, right?
You can have a pollination party. Imagine that. How about
Surprise,
that? Huh? See, if you
surprise.
throw more DJ parties and you build an ecosystem, then you can talk about stuff like pesticides. Now,
Very supportive
I've got
of
to
that.
talk about this because you're at the front
Absolutely.
lines of this conversation. The Insect News Network is broadcast currently about a quarter mile from one of the distribution centers from one of the largest agribusiness, one of the big six companies called Monsanto. I did invite Monsanto to be on the Bee-a-Thon. They were not able to accept, but I certainly hope they will in the future. Because they purchased a company called Bee-Logics a few years back, and it was one of the largest independent bee research companies in the world. When Monsanto bought Bee-Logics, it raised some intergalactic question marks, right? Now, with that in mind, you are trying to tackle topics about pesticides, and there's been some legislation nationally over the past couple years that have also caused some real concerns, particularly involving the neonicotinoids.
Yep.
So these chemicals are banned in many places in Europe. Tell me how and why this happens to be a topic that not only hasn't been part of the discourse, but what's going to come in the next few years, do you think?
Yeah, well, so I think the challenges with pesticide registration in this country are that unfortunately special interests tend to, like many other facets of our democracy, dominate the conversation. When it comes down to it, money in democracy is a very challenging thing, and so those with more money tend to have more speech.
Okay, now that's at the political level, but what about on the local or regional level?
Well, but in terms of talking about the EPA and federal registration of chemicals, that's really where you're talking is
I
at
see.
the federal level.
It's behind closed doors. Yeah.
It's
not
not
closed
just
doors,
that
but
it's
it's
not even just that it's behind closed doors, but the EPA in fact relies on the applicants or the registrants, the companies seeking to register the use of a pesticide for the data that they use to make decisions about its impact on the environment.
Okay.
And so, it seems to me like that is a sort of perverse system that the people who are seeking permission to sell their products are the ones providing the information to the regulators about whether or not it can be considered safe for use, whether it's for bumblebees, whether it's for people, whether it's for other, whether it's for the environment in general. And
It's a conundrum, and it's also comes back to where the interview began. It's about empowering individual democracy. Because just like on the Insect News Network, everything to do with the insect tribe, I like to say that what you think and how you feel as an individual about your life and your role on the planet is just as important as any policy, any legislation, any scientific theory. So now we're coming back down to empowering the individual.
Yep.
So in addition to the Xerces Society Bring Back the Pollinator campaign, how can listeners right now take a simple step into establishing a honeybee democracy in their own backyard?
Yeah, I actually sat down before the interview and just came up with a list of a few things that people could do.
Grab your pen, everybody. Here we go.
Starting at home, right? So you could use less insecticides or pesticides in your home. That's an easy place to
simple.
start, right? A lot of times the consumer available pesticides are mostly for cosmetic purposes. So
Yes.
figuring out other ways to, make your lawn or garden look good, but without using pesticides. I think, we talked a little bit about getting your local governments to stop using pesticides for cosmetic purposes. We're lucky enough in California to have a state regulatory system, the California Department of Pesticide Regulation, so we can work at the statewide level as well. There are other positive things besides just stopping the use of pesticides. We can also imagine policies where any of these levels, whether at home, at the city level or at the state level, we establish sort of bee-friendly territory.
Sure.
Those are some things that we could do. Interestingly, just last week, a report came out that retailers are selling plants that have neonicotinoid content in them. About a little over half of available
Oh, my
plants
word.
at home improvement stores were found to have neonicotinoids in a wide variety of levels, even some that are at the deadly, toxic level for bees. So some home gardeners who are even planting to make bee-friendly habitats may be buying plants now that are have these neonicotinoids. So asking some of our retailers to stop selling plants that are that contain these neonicotinoids.
And you can ask retailers to take stuff right off the shelves. And this is an important
Absolutely.
part because remember, the retailers, they have an economic agenda, but they also have a local and regional agenda. They need to satisfy the consumer. And it's almost a cliche that people can make change based on their buying dollar. But here you have Mike Summers from the State Director of Pesticide Watch saying it's practical. And these are simple steps that everybody can do. And one last question, Mike, just something I love to ask people on the show. Do you have a favorite bug?
Yeah, well, and so this is an interesting sort of point since we're talking about pollinators. I really like the monarch butterfly. When I was
monarch, yes.
growing up as a kid, I would go out and we'd play in the fields and there would be milkweed out there, and of course it's such an interesting plant.
It is, yeah. In many ways, it's a noxious plant, but for the most emblematic and iconic butterfly probably on the entire planet, it's an essential part of their life cycle.
Yeah, and so now we're finding habitat challenges in terms of keeping butterflies healthy and safe as well. So it's not just bees that are facing these challenges. There are many pollinators. So it's but that's the one I think of that reminds me of childhood.
And since he's a policy guy, it looks like this: pollinators are going down, pest species are going up, and the difference is on the Bee-a-Thon, we want you to be part of the solution. And so please help spread the buzz. Mike, thanks for being on.
Yeah,
Hope we
absolutely.
can stay in touch and get you back on the Insect News Network real soon.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Terrific.
Thanks.
Thank you very much.
Appreciate it.
There's a sign that says Mike is here, right? And do I just say Mike is leaving? Is that what I write on this? Okay. Well, I tell you what.